Going to call to order. Today is Thursday, May 23rd, 2019, fiscal year 20 operating budget hearings of the Budget and Finance Committee and Metro Council. Before us, we have the Information Tech Services Division. We have Director Keith Durbin. I'll allow you to do the introductions, and then you can walk us through your budget. The floor is yours, Director.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate your time today. I do have a couple of people with me, Greg Nicholson, who is our Finance Division Manager, and Margaret Keck, who is our Assistant Director for Communications and Infrastructure Services. I also want to thank the staff of Metro Nashville Network who are broadcasting these budget hearings live on the Metro Nashville Network cable channels. They are streaming them live on nashville.gov, and then they're posting these budget hearings to Metro's YouTube channel. Members of Metro Council, you've heard me many times over the years state that ITS is a service organization that exists only to serve the needs of other departments and agencies. While we are not directly pouring sidewalks, cutting the grass at Centennial, or teaching algebra, our 148 employees are directly supporting those Metro employees in those jobs. They do so with pride and with true dedication to serving the public. So I want to thank those professionals who aren't in this room as well. This last year has been a productive one for ITS, and we continue to work on important, impactful initiatives. Beyond the pages of accomplishments that are included in your budget questionnaire, we continue to make progress on strategic items reflected in the Connected Nashville Smart City Strategy that was released a year ago now. A few of those projects that are progressing include working closely with MTA on the implementation of their next generation fare system, which will allow for modern abilities to pay for trips via multiple mechanisms, including via mobile phone. With our public safety agencies, we implemented the Metro Emergency Alerts and Notification System, also known as MEANS, to provide a means by which residents, employees, and visitors can be alerted about civil emergencies, with more features coming in near future. With Public Works, we continue to work on traffic signal synchronization and to proactively monitor traffic impacts of major roadway projects such as the I-44 construction project. Hub Nashville continues to grow in its use, as each of you should see from the reporting and dashboards that you receive on a weekly basis. And that data is being used by departments to make more informed decisions about services for residents. We've received national attention for the work we've done with the Nashville Fire Department and Vanderbilt University, where we've taken incident data and other data sets and used them to predict the likelihood of when and where fire incidents will happen in the future so as to be better prepared to respond to them. And we've established a data management platform whereby we can ingest huge data sets for analysis and decision making, starting with the entire set of scooter data for each of those scooter vendors, as well as the data from the Waze traffic app for Davidson County. In terms of other projects for Metro, for MTA, we've implemented public Wi-Fi on the bus fleet and continue to expand public Wi-Fi to additional Metro spaces. With our partner General Services, we completed building, cable, and technology implementations for Metro building projects, which include the Metro Nashville Police Department headquarters, the Family Justice Center, the Madison and Smith Springs Community Centers, and 7 other recently renovated Metro buildings. And we continue to take a multifaceted, multi-layered approach as we strive to secure Metro's data assets and computer systems in a very fraught cybersecurity landscape. Thanks for letting me discuss those projects, each of which is a great example of cross-Metro interdepartmental collaboration with the goal of making our residents better informed and better served. Turning now to our budget request, the major and key component that I'd like to point out specifically is the contractual increases in non-discretionary software. There are several factors at play across the just over $3 million requested for the next fiscal year. These contractual increases cover a variety of applications that ITS supports and manages across Metro's departments and agencies. They include our current and forthcoming financial, budgeting, and HR systems, our Esri GIS and mapping system, our CityWorks Enterprise Agreement, our Salesforce Agreement, which is for Hub Nashville and other products, and the system used to manage Metro's growing public safety camera infrastructure. Each of these systems is crucial to a wide array of metro departments, and ITS carries and support them for budget purposes for that reason. Thank you again for the opportunity to work with each of you, and I'm happy to address questions about our budget request.
Thank you so much, Director Durbin. Any council members seeking recognition? Councilwoman Allen.
I'll just give a quick shout out to Hub. Everything you do is wonderful, but Hub has been the greatest thing just in terms of allowing constituents to be empowered to get the information, and the departments have all been responsive, and it's just worked very, very well, and I'm grateful for your part in making that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Allen. Councilwoman Henderson.
Thank you, Chair Vercher. Director Durbin, and I do apologize, I have to shame on Councilman Pulley there. He was speaking to me for a fair amount of your introduction, so I do apologize if what I in asking was addressed earlier. Can you speak to how your department works with just whether contractually or from an operational budget perspective, your actual ITS staff, when there is a really large or needed technology component internal to a department? So I vice chair the Public Works Committee. So hypothetically, whether it's, City Works or the various things that they need to do, can you kind of speak to how that works from an operational budget perspective? Like, what are your costs? And then let's just use the example of Public Works cost, and how does that kind of work out with whether contracted services, and do you manage those, or how that kind of works in a big department setting?
So there is no single answer to that question. It really depends upon the nature of the project. It depends upon the availability of in-house expertise, both on the department side as well as our side. It depends on the magnitude of the project. We'll use the City Works application at Public Works as a good example. So they have expertise, limited expertise in-house with City Works, because historically they have contracted that work out. We have, within my department, we run the enterprise, own the enterprise license for City Works, both on the PLL side, which is parcels, library, land, and licensing, as well as we have moved and taken ownership of the AMS side, which is the asset management system side. So for that, that project, which is upcoming, we have worked with Public Works and other departments and agencies who will also be going onto the AMS system to develop statements of work that will be put out to a set of contracted vendors. We're in the final stages of finalizing a competitively bid project to find vendors who can respond to statements of work for City Works. I don't think it's finalized yet, but it's at the very end stages.
And then do you all administer or organize that procurement?
So what we organized was we wrote the RFP in consultation with procurement, looking at national standards for that, and looking ahead at the roadmap that we have in place around a City Works enterprise application. So we wrote that RFP to both City Works and Esri products, which they are very closely attuned. And we got a lot of good responses to that. So again, we're close with the award of that, with the goal is that when we have various projects internally, we can compose statements of work that then go out to that suite of vendors that is qualified to bid, and they respond to that. Now, those statements of work are not only for implementation services. We wrote them the RFP very specifically to also include project management expertise should a department or agency not be able to do that for themselves to manage the project. We also, in each of those cases, we will have someone who acts as an internal to ITS, internal to Metro project manager as well, just to work hand in hand with the vendor's project manager, and should there be a project manager on the department side, work with them as well. But typically, there would be one from ITS and one from the vendor. And that's really what we see in this specific case that we're talking about with AMS for Public Works.
Okay, and so that's, typically the work is project-based.
Yes?
And depending on the scale of the project, then you would have an ITS Metro employed manager,
Project manager.
project manager. Likewise, also depending on the scale, we're using the hypothetical of Public Works, but in any sizable department, you would also have somebody who is in the operational budget of that department.
Potentially.
Potentially,
It depends upon
depending.
the expertise. And so Public Works is not there, so that would most likely the only project manager on the Metro side would be one from my department. Again, though, there's always a project manager from the vendor side, and typically that is the group that, since we're paying them to implement, it's their system, their technology, we look to them to set out the project plan in consultation with us and kind of in hand with our project manager. And we're speaking for the department as well. But again, it depends a lot on the magnitude of the project.
Right, and I guess that is my question too, just kind of operationally and kind of how we're trying to optimize things and be efficient. And I respect that technology can do that, but I wonder the extent to which it's, an effort where you're saying from ITS saying, hey, this suite of this or that could really help you do this better. Why don't we talk about this? Or if it's coming from the department, right, do they really have the knowledge to say, do they come to you and say, this is a process problem, this is a issue, or we're pushing a lot of paper around that we'd rather be having this be an intelligent process? Is it working both ways, or just, kind of what's the flow chart, I guess?
All of the above.
Okay.
All of the above. And in Public Works example, you're probably aware that we went in several years ago, did a stem to stern analysis of their IT environment. And in that, we identified areas of need for improvement. Other times, and there are situations with this AMS project for Public Works falls into that
And
category.
AMS, apologize not to interrupt, but
Asset manage, the CityWorks asset management system, which is the system that Public Works uses today.
okay, so I thought I understood though that, didn't they used to have their own kind of, their CityWorks and, with sidewalk legislation or other things, those are kind of getting plugged in and other departments are using CityWorks. But did they not have some sort of proprietary system that they had internal for permitting or?
So
No?
it's CityWorks AMS.
Okay.
And so not only is it in need of a modernization, it is also end of life. So we
Okay.
come in both situations. And so that's a good example to use with their asset management system because it falls in both categories. It's going to greatly optimize their processes with a new system, with modern features, with modern integrations to other systems such as codes, permits, land, and licensing system, as well as set the baseline for use in other departments as well.
Okay, I appreciate that. When we were looking at Public Works budget the other day, I noticed that their revenue, I think for like road closure permit things was down like $1.5 million. That revenue was down. And so I'm always interested to see, what we're doing to make sure that
Yes.
organizationally, as we have transitions between, different people and different software and different things, that we are kind of maintaining that like we should. So I appreciate your thorough explanation of that. Thank you so much for your help.
Thank you, Councilwoman Henderson. Director Durbin, can you elaborate on the partnership with MTA that won FTE for $132,000? Can you tell us what that is?
Absolutely. So one of the things I mentioned in my conversation with you was their fare modernization project, and they have contracted, it was competitively bid contract, to do a new system. That system is large, it's comprehensive, it's globally scaled. It's used at organizations across the world. And one of the things that it requires is a database management expertise in Oracle. MTA has a kind of dedicated IT staff. However, what they don't have is Oracle database management expertise. We do. We also have a database management team. So we worked with them to work on an MOU that provides us with an FTE. We work with finance on that. And then that position would be funded by MTA for 3 years. And we would then manage that person with, database manager who knows how to manage database administrators. And that person would be focused on the init project at MTA. It would also allow us, since it would be in-house, for us to have others who are also familiar with the system to provide that person backup. You never want one person to hold all the keys to the kingdom. And at some point in the future, that person would also provide some level of backup to us on other Oracle databases. And at the end of the MOU in 3 years, they would stop paying for that. We would relook at the entire situation, and if necessary, I would come back to this body in 3 years and ask for a continuation of funding for that position. The FTE hopefully will be there. So it's another great example of collaboration across departments and agencies using skills that already exist rather than them having to stand up kind of this Oracle database administration expertise in a transit authority.
Thank you so much, Director. Any council members seeking, see we had some additional council members join us. Is anyone else seeking recognition? Okay, Director Durbin, thank you so much to you and your team, everything that you do for this great city. This concludes your budget hearing, and thank you so much. If we can have the Election Commission come down.
Thank you.